I don't like Star Wars The Last Jedi at all. I think it was written by a childish wannabe edgelord who thinks that doing what the audience least suspects is compelling and interesting. Someone who thinks that inserting random comedy into serious scenes won't just break the dramatic stakes, and who seems to hate Star Wars and views its fans as stupid nerds. When the movie came out, many fans were somewhat rightfully very annoyed at many things that happened in the movie. The biggest among them was the deliberate character assassination of Luke Skywalker, one of the most beloved cultural figures of the 20th century, turning him into a coward who abandons his friends, gives up hope, and tries to murder his nephew seemingly on instinct, even though this wildly clashes with the Luke Skywalker that we knew from the George Lucas movies. However, despite this, there were many people who defended the movie from its critics, including the majority of mainstream news sites and pop culture channels. Whether it's because they are also out of touch with what Star Wars fans like, or because they don't want to upset the mouse, is anyone's guess. What I have here is one of those defenses, a comic that was published on Dorkly. Dorkly used to be a great website, emphasis on used to. I would go on it when I was 18 or 19, and I liked the gamer stories people would submit and the funny animations they do. This comic though is the smuggiest thing I've seen in my life. Called If the Last Jedi Haters Got the Movie They Wanted. It is 8 panels of mind-numbing smugness, anti-fan attitude, straw-manning, and completely missing the point. It actually serves as a great example of how to ignore people's points and criticisms and instead attack a straw man. And you might be wondering, but Tin Man, why are you talking about this comic 4 years after it came out? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, because The Last Jedi is eternal, but also because I wanted to talk about how this comic has aged so badly. So the first panel depicts the opening scene of the movie. Rey meets Luke and hands him his father's lightsaber. In the movie, Luke tosses it over his shoulder. It is very clearly an attempt at a gotcha moment to throw off the audience, and is shot and framed in a way where it is meant to be an awkward joke. Luke then buggers off and sulks about how the Jedi are failures. You know, the failures who defended peace and justice in the Republic for 1,000 years? Yeah, that's a failure. Obviously, this was something fans, and indeed people who like our heroes to be heroic, objected to. In this comic, Luke is badass and cool, alive, healthy, and active and showing off his powers, lifting the X-Wing off the ground like Yoda did in The Empire Strikes Back. Luke speaks like a stupid child, or Zoomer, desperately trying to act young on Twitter. The way he says, "Nothing about aging 30 years and exiling myself for a decade has changed my worldview," is clearly a take that to fans critical of Luke's turn. Fans were wondering why Luke has changed so drastically. Why would the man who refused to kill his father, out of the love and kindness of his heart, be this cynical, jaded hermit? We later learn in the movie that Luke tried to murder his nephew after reading his thoughts once, and after his Jedi Academy failed and burnt down, he just gave up and pissed off. The comic is completely ignoring why people were upset that Luke had changed, and how it was unbelievable based on what we'd seen of him before. Based on how Luke behaved in previous films, it's hard to believe his radical change in The Last Jedi. Instead, this comic tells us that the haters were idiots for thinking that people don't change. Rey also has a big smile on her face in this panel. Rey throughout the movies is an attempt at an audience insert. She's a blank slate, gets to hang out with all the OT characters, fly the Falcon, she even gets Luke's original lightsaber. So Rey, like the audience, is happy for seeing Luke like this, but also dumb for being happy about it. The next 2 panels are a riff on the "Your parents were nobody" scene. In the movie, Kylo reveals to Rey that rather than her parents being important people, who left her on Jakku for a reason or a purpose, they were random losers of no importance. People didn't like this opposite of a reveal, since Rey's parents was a mystery box set up in The Force Awakens, and is a major plot point of the trilogy. To the fans, it might even serve some explanation as to how she becomes so powerful. Being the child of Obi-Wan Kenobi would also mean that every trilogy had a duo of a Kenobi and a Skywalker. Being a child of Luke Skywalker would give her a family connection to Kylo Ren, Either possibility could create new story possibilities, and would also explain how she is so powerful. In the comic, Kylo reveals that Luke Skywalker is her father, and so is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Rey gasps and literally froths at the mouth over how fucking awesome that is. The audience insert gets to have two important characters be her father. Oh my god. Except like the first panel, the audience insert and the audience is made out to be foolish for thinking that this is desirable. Clearly the actual movie's choice of them being nobody, and the whole plot being a disappointing letdown, is clearly superior. Of course I'm being sarcastic. Once again, this is a fundamental misunderstanding, or deliberate blatant lie, about how fans felt and what they wanted out of the movie. In the sequels, Rey is capable of amazing things without training or real explanation, to the point of knowing how to sail a boat despite growing up on a desert planet, and defeating a trained Dark Jedi in her very first lightsaber duel. This panel is the last we see of Rey in this comic, by the way. Maybe that froth is rabies, and she needs to be taken away to a nice farm on another planet with the other scavengers. Or maybe the comic is implying that the fans wanted Rey shoved to the side while manly man Luke Skywalker could take over. This panel is going to be broken up into two parts. There's a lot going on here, despite it just being 2 bits of dialogue. The first part is Finn saying, "Whoa, I'm Force sensitive too," while lifting Poe in the air. I don't know why fans would expect Finn to be Force sensitive. I mean, it's not like he broke his mental programming in The Force Awakens, which no one else could do. It's not like he had a lightsaber on the poster for The Force Awakens, or that early reports said that he would be the Jedi hero back in 2014. Probably the biggest missed point in the sequel trilogy, in a trilogy with so many missing points that it's like a box full of blunt pencils, is that Finn's character starts off with so much potential that is wasted. Finn, the ex-stormtrooper, who freaked out after seeing death and combat and decided that he wouldn't be used like a weapon, despite being trained from birth to be an unthinking killing machine, was teased to become the next Jedi hero of the series. Instead, he turned into a freaking minstrel show who follows the girls around, shouts woo or Rey all the time, cracks one-liners when inappropriate, and is turned into a joke. This was the movie that opens with him being the victim of slapstick comedy, and later reveals that he was a janitor. People have been called racist for not liking the sequel trilogy and its diverse characters, yet this is completely fine, is it? Finn's actor John Boyega made a scathing interview where he accused Disney of all sorts of horrible behaviours and outright accused them of racism, shoving his character aside, making him smaller on the Chinese posters, and promising him he would be an important lead character and then backing out. An interesting character, who fans wanted to see be the next big Star Wars hero, was relegated to a joke sidekick with the same dramatic resonance as the pimp in Superman.
Hey, Jim! Whoa! Excuse me. That's a bad outfit!
I'm not kidding. In the credits, he is credited as Pimp. The second half of the panel is Rose saying that her and Holdo don't exist. Moviegoers, broadly, did not like these two characters. The subplot of Rose and Finn distracts from the rest of the movie, and could be cut almost entirely. She also has the gall to lecture Finn, a former child slave, about how bad slavery is, and she later stops him from heroically sacrificing himself, talking about how they're not gonna save their friends by hatred, only to be saved by Luke Skywalker sacrificing himself. As for Holdo, her plot is baffling. She is presented as this amazing leader, but withholds her plans from her subordinates to the point where they stage a mutiny because they're convinced she'll get them killed. She also takes up valuable screen time while General Leia is unconscious. 'Cause, why would people want to see Leia again? This panel depicts a scene that never happens in the movie or anywhere in Disney Star Wars. A scene where Luke confronts Snoke. The scene is played up as absurd, as if it is crazy for Luke to be a proactive, heroic person who confronts the evil mastermind behind the downfall of the Republic that he fought to restore across 3 whole movies. The reference to Darth Plagueis is here because before The Last Jedi came out, There were many theories as to what Snoke was, where he had come from, and why he was so powerful. People who expected Disney to care about Star Wars and respect the lore had the idea that he was actually Darth Plagueis, who was the Sith Master of Darth Sidious, the Emperor. Plagueis conducted experiments where he attempted to create life, and ultimately to cheat death by manipulating the Force. These experiments could have been the reason for his return, since Sidious killed him in his sleep. Not that J.J. Abrams or Lawrence Kasdan knew this.
Hi, my name is Jonathan.
And what is your question, Jonathan?
Is there going to be any mention of Darth Plagueis in Episode 7? Maybe surrounding a certain staff that someone finds?
Oh. Is that...
Larry? What answer that?
I don't think I heard correct. Is it Darth Vegas? Like Las Vegas? Darth Vader?
No, Larry's messing with you. I don't think we don't want to be talking about a story too much too soon, but I will say no.
However, the comic asserts that all fans wanted was a ridiculous over-the-top connection that would be a reference to what has been seen before. Clearly, The Last Jedi is a movie championing new causes, such as ripping off scenes from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, while The Force Awakens simply ripped off A New Hope. Clearly such fans were being silly to expect an explanation for who Snoke was. The reason fans had so many theories about Snoke was because he was clearly a supremely powerful being if he was capable of undoing the peace created at the end of Return of the Jedi, and to send Luke Skywalker of all people into hiding. A lot of what happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens wasn't explained, which helped fuel fan theories and speculation. The fact that Snoke is unceremoniously killed off with zero explanation for his powers and origin meant that the unanswered questions about how the galaxy had changed so much continued to be unanswered, which left many fans and moviegoers dissatisfied. This dissatisfaction was only made worse by having employees of Disney Lucasfilm insult fans for having their theories and their love for the series in the first place. Rian Johnson, the writer and director of The Last Jedi, and Pablo Hidalgo, the Lucasfilm executive, were photographed holding stickers saying, "Your Snoke theory sucks." These are two grown men saying these things. The fans had their theories, and these, I'm going to be generous, clowns who work for Lucasfilm had the gall to insult them. This is extra ridiculous since Rian Johnson doesn't even seem to have a Snoke theory, at least one he's publicly revealed. Snoke is killed off in The Last Jedi with no explanation given as to where he came from, what his goals are, or how he made the First Order so powerful. Hidalgo is also the same asshole who told Star Wars theory that emotions aren't for sharing, after he cried watching a scene in The Mandalorian featuring a beloved character. There is also some subtle George Lucas bashing going on here. Darth Insanius, along with Darth Icky, were two names that George Lucas suggested for Vader's secret apprentice in the video game The Force Unleashed. My own theory is that he was asked to provide a Darth title and purposefully gave bad ones so they wouldn't do so, and the character ended up being called Starkiller. The smug beliefs that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson were saving Star Wars from George Lucas when they directed the sequel trilogy, or that George Lucas is an idiot that lucked his way into making the original films due to his collaborators doing most of the work, really irritates me. It's complete disrespect for someone who created one of the most impactful sagas in modern culture. We're getting close to the end, I swear. We just have to endure some more cringe and smugness. We now get the original three heroes, Leia, Han, and Luke, telling us how they went through a by-the-numbers adventure where everything that was expected to happen happened. Even Han comes back from the dead, since him dying was bad, not what those stupid fans wanted. Once again, the comic is either completely misunderstanding of what the fans' actual issues were, or lying to them. The comic asserts that fans wanted to see a by-the-numbers adventure with everything going as we expected. This is a clear reaction to Johnson claiming that he wanted to subvert expectations by having things the audience wouldn't expect to see in the movie. However, this idea that moviegoers hate seeing new things is completely absurd. Something being new doesn't make it bad. Something being radically different to what we expect can be bad. It's why the Emperor revealing he can use Force Lightning in Return of the Jedi, a power that had never been hinted at until that point, is nothing like the Holdo maneuver in The Last Jedi, which makes every space battle in previous movies pointless if the possibility of launching kamikaze ships through hyperspace was always an option. It's also pretty hypocritical of the comic to say that The Last Jedi haters only wanted a by-the-numbers adventure, when The Last Jedi copies numerous plot beats from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. There's a battle on a planet covered in a white powder, where massive walkers attack the rebels. A young Jedi trains under a master on a secluded planet. The heroes are pursued through space by a stronger enemy fleet. A throne room scene where a powerful villain attempts to tempt the hero. It's all copied from past Star Wars movies. The comic is once again blaming the fans for being disappointed, rather than the movie for being shit. This, and the previous panels, clearly shows that having all the fan theories proven true, aka giving loyal and paying customers what they want, is a bad thing. The comic, through sarcasm, stating that it is the unexpected things that make a story engaging, ignores the fact that something predictable can be well written, and something unexpected can be really lame. Even looking at Star Wars, many things have happened that we didn't expect.
No, I am your father.
Could it be that some things didn't feel like they belonged in a Star Wars movie? Such as Rose Tico, a character Rian Johnson admitted didn't belong in a Star Wars movie? Was it their beloved childhood hero, Luke Skywalker, being a pathetic character in a way that clashed with everything we'd already known about him? Was it the many plot holes and logic errors that litter the movie? I guess we'll never know. Oh my god, they've done it. The comic has given Luke Skywalker, a punchable face and smug expression, while he sarcastically lectures us stupid, entitled, whiny man-baby, basement-dwelling chuds about how the silly, dumb, and simplistic story about our childhood heroes is just a warm, comforting blanket of predictability. This anti-fan attitude disgusts me, and also serves to distract from the real issues. The Last Jedi is a Star Wars movie that ignores and contradicts the previous 7 movies many times. And even completely ignoring previous movies and being viewed as a standalone entity, it is a film full of contradictions, plot holes, and logic errors. So many that there are countless videos on YouTube and countless discussion pages on the internet that go into incredible detail about just how many bad decisions are in the movie. These many bad qualities led to the movie getting trashed in reviews by people who aren't snobby movie critics, and contributed to Solo and Rise of Skywalker's poorer than expected box office, and as of recording, no plans for Star Wars movies in the future, other than the ones crazy Kathleen Kennedy keeps announcing, then cancelling. However, according to this comic, that's not the reason The Last Jedi haters were upset at the movie. The comic says that it is because the quote-unquote haters are immature, easily pleased nerds who only want to see things from their childhoods, and don't want to be confronted by anything new or unexpected, and never have to grow or change. It's a staggeringly smug and condescending take that is also stupid at best and actively lying at worst. It also ignores problems and issues that people had with the movie, and instead creates a straw man to beat up on. Every George Lucas Star Wars movie added something new after A New Hope. There's a lot of change and unexpected developments. And there were also many new things added in the expanded universe that was never in the movies. New characters, force powers, planets, weapons, vehicles, costumes, and species appear in every movie. There's boundless creativity and endless opportunities for storytelling in the George Lucas-helmed Star Wars movies. Star Wars movies were always introducing new things, and always having things happen that weren't expected. They saved the best for last. This is the last panel in the comic, and it's the only one that's actually not a horrible strawman argument full of lies and falsehoods. The movie would have been better with a director who wasn't Rian Johnson. Johnson is a director who I do not like, and do not appreciate his style, but there are others who do. He is an artsy-fartsy person, and his movies before and after The Last Jedi are all smaller budget, weird little movies. He simply was not the right choice for director. It is true that Irvin Kershner was inexperienced with big-budget epic filmmaking when he made The Empire Strikes Back, but he was more experienced and had George Lucas in control, while Rian Johnson had only made 3 movies before The Last Jedi, and had oversight from crazy Kathleen Kennedy, whose Star Wars movies have had rushed, troubled productions and were mostly plagued by reshoots and last-minute changes to the script. I can't find actual links to the Dorkly page this was on, just tweets that go to their YouTube page, and grabs that were made by other people. Maybe they were embarrassed by it, especially since many of The Last Jedi's elements would be undone by the next film in the series. This comic came out in July 2018, and Rise of Skywalker came out in December 2019, with J.J. Abrams returning after he had directed The Force Awakens. Rise of Skywalker was a massive course correct on The Last Jedi, and actually trashes it a couple times within the movie. The Holdo maneuver is described as a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Luke talks about the Jedi's weapon needing more respect instead of throwing it over his shoulder, and General Pryde essentially being a new Hux after the real Hux was turned into a joke in The Last Jedi. A lot of the things in this comic actually do happen in Rise of Skywalker, and in a bizarre twist of irony, this comic's smug and cynical takedown of brain-dead fandom is actually a good approximation of issues in Rise of Skywalker, a soulless corporate-birthed husk of a movie that tries to win back the crowd with unearned fan service and nostalgia. Darth Sidious's resurrection is a clear last-minute arse pull to come up with a new villain after Snoke was unceremoniously killed off, and Rey being all the Jedi, with zero effort, is an unearned payoff and hardly a fitting conclusion to a 9-film saga. A previous Sith Lord returning from the dead via Fortnite, Finn being Force-sensitive, Rose barely existing, Luke lifting his X-Wing, Rey's parents being unimportant, and a predictable by-the-numbers plot, all things this comic made fun of, all feature in Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi is a flawed movie that has many issues. These issues can be talked about in a rational, sensible debate. However, this comic does not want to be an irrational, sensible debate. It is a belittling, smug, anti-fan manifesto filled with strawmanning, ignoring the other side's points, and flat-out getting things wrong. It doesn't even try to understand what The Last Jedi haters, aka people who like good movies, would want out of a Star Wars movie, or indeed any movie. Take away the Star Wars elements from The Last Jedi, and I guarantee you that it would be a forgotten sci-fi flop like Jupiter Ascending. But simply having the name Star Wars on it led to people fighting tooth and nail to defend it from haters, no matter what it took. I love the original 6 movies because of their content, and The Last Jedi and the rest of the Disney-era movies simply don't meet their standards or feel like proper continuations of the story. Or, they didn't have Darth Insanius in them. Take your pick as to why I don't like them.